What happens if you get scared half to death twice? Scared 3/4 to death? Truth is, I was hoping to be able to get this video out into the world here just at the end of 2020, but unfortunately, it just didn't happen that way. So, better late than never, right? As this is my list of my 14 most favorite pieces of gear that I demoed here on this channel from the year 2020. The first 5 or 6 on this list are definitely my favorites, and the rest of them after that, it was getting a little bit difficult to rank them because they're all, I feel pretty equally about all of them, so they should all be considered equal. So anyway, if you missed any of these, I'll go ahead and post links to all of these videos down in the description so that you can go and check them out yourself. So without further ado, here are my top 14 gear demos from the year of the pandemic, 2020. Here we go. Number 1, Boss 200 series pedals. I recognize that this is really 4 different pedals, and the harder I put, the harder I worked on these, and the more time I put into them per YouTube's, apparently YouTube's algorithm policies, the more they tanked. But actually, of 5 videos that I did, the one that performed the best was the one that was a summation of all 4 Boss 200 series pedals, all in the same video. And here is a clip from that. Number 2, Crate BV120H Blue Voodoo Head. No, this is not a new piece of gear. Matter of fact, these have been out of production for well over a decade now, maybe closer to 2 decades at this point. However, the Blue Voodoo was my very first tube amp back in the 90s, and I have always regretted selling it. And this year, 2020 was good enough to me that I was able to finally secure another one into my possession. And this is what I recorded with my newly acquired Blue Voodoo head. Number 3, the X-Gear Crush Overdrive. No overdrive that I demoed all year long impressed me more than the Crush Overdrive from X-Gear. If you are in the market for a high-gain overdrive, definitely check this one out. Number 4, Jupiter Effects Super Weirdo. You might be a little surprised to see a fuzz pedal on this list from me because at this point I am pretty well known to not like fuzz pedals at all. However, this is the first fuzz pedal that I have ever gotten to demo, and essentially shit all over it with the blessing of the company and the guy that built it. Specifically just because he wanted to laugh, and I thought that was really cool of him to to be able to let me do that for him. So it was a lot of fun, and while it certainly isn't my style of pedal, like I said, doing the making the whole video and getting a few laughs out of it along the way was a lot of fun. Number 5, the Chapman ML1 Baritone V2. I waited for probably upwards of 6 months for this guitar to show up. It was on back order for a long time, and I'm glad that I waited, because in that interim, while I was waiting, I had plenty of other people telling me that I made a mistake. Chapman has all kinds of quality issues, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of it turned out to be complete nonsense, because when I pulled it out of the box, it was completely flawless right out of the box. Just about perfectly in tune even. Great quality guitar. I've gotten a lot of use out of it since then. I've always wanted a baritone. This was a great first choice. Number 6, Boss BD2 Blues Driver. Another piece of gear that's been around for 25 years and is anything but new, but at the time I made this video, I felt it was actually pretty, really overlooked, and nobody seemed to talk about it. Since I have done this video, I've noticed a lot more people talking about the Blues Driver on the interwebs than I did prior to that. Maybe that's because I did the video, or maybe a lot of people have seen that video, so maybe that had something to do with it. This not only renewed my love for the Blues Driver pedal, but there was a lot of work that went into this demo, as I had to record 3 separate tracks of 3 different genres just to demonstrate the versatility of it. But it paid off in the end, and I'm real glad that I did it. And it seems that a lot of my viewers, anyway, have now been alerted to the great versatility of an overdrive pedal that is the Boss Blues Driver. Here's 3 clips from that video. Number 7, DFX Traveler Distortion. I demoed a lot of distortion pedals this year, but I don't think any of them surprised me more pleasantly than the DFX Traveler Distortion. A little teeny tiny, brand new company out of China, I believe. Never heard of them. You didn't know anything about them. They've got two different models to their name at this point, at least at the point I recorded this, and I believe it's still the case. And that distortion pedal sounds awesome. Number 8, the PV Windsor. I have heard people like Glenn Fricker, among others, singing the praises of the PV Windsor for years, and honestly, I had never gotten to play through one, at least not that I can recall. So I did some digging. I found one that was I thought was very fairly priced, and picked it up, and it was just one of those demos that I really enjoyed making, and with an amp that just sounds killer. A lot of people kind of turn their noses up at this thing because it's because it's a cheap tube amp. While it certainly does fit that description, it sure doesn't sound like a cheap tube amp. Listen to this. Number 9, Joyo Atmosphere Reverb. I demoed a lot of gear for Joyo this year. I mean, I'm very grateful. They sent me a lot of stuff to demo on my channel for you guys. And I don't think any pedal impressed me more than the Joyo Atmosphere Reverb. There's a lot of different types of reverb, a lot of things that you can do with this pedal. It's a lot of fun to use. Here's the track that I recorded with it. Number 10, best office studio guitar chair, which I happen to be sitting in right now. You wouldn't really think of this as guitar gear, but the truth is, of everything that I demoed this year, this is by far the piece of gear that I've gotten the most use out of. And also, unlike everything else, this also carries over to a lot of other different genres outside of music and guitar players. So, a lot of gamers, a lot of people looking for a cool office chair for whatever, for their computer desk, whatever it may be. That video surprisingly generated a lot of interest, and most importantly, it's also the item that probably earned me the most commission on Amazon. Number 11, high wind amplification Direwolf Overdrive. This pedal's gotten a lot of attention on the interwebs here recently, especially here in the past year or so, and I finally got to see why. The Direwolf Overdrive is quite possibly the best tube screamer style overdrive pedal on the market today. For $189 for all of the different features on it that you get, for all the different tones and overdrives and all that stuff that you can get out of it, I do not consider that pedal to be overpriced at all. As a matter of fact, I consider it to be very, very fair. And one thing about this video is I recorded one of the coolest riffs with it that I recorded all year. Number 12, the new XFireman Distortion, which I just happen to have sitting here right next to me, as a matter of fact. This was probably the best distortion pedal that I demoed all year long. This thing I was blown away by. This thing sounds really, really good. I know I was just singing the praises of the Traveler Distortion earlier in this video. This one made... Number 12, the new XFireman Distortion. Two very, very different feature sets on them, but seriously, this thing sounds killer. Listen to this. Number 13, Blackstar Distex Distortion. I'd never have known how to pronounce this, but regardless, even though this thing is a giant, big, heavy box, this is definitely the best metal distortion that I demoed all year long. I thought this thing sounded awesome, and honestly, the only reason I haven't used it more is because, like the rest of the HT series pedals from Blackstar, they all required their own oddball. It's either 16 volt or 22 volt proprietary power supply. These pedals being out of production now, the power supplies, a lot of them are long gone, so you got to go find an aftermarket replacement, etc., etc. It's kind of honestly, it's kind of a pain in the ass about these pedals. But that aside, this thing sounds pretty good. Number 14, Joyo Uzi Distortion. Man, I got a lot of distortion pedals clustered together there at the end of this list. I didn't realize I did that. The Joyo Uzi Distortion was another very, very impressive pedal that I got to demo this year. Like I said, Joyo sent me a lot of gear this year, and I specifically saved this one for last. I expected it to be more, just based on the control layout, to be more in the metal zone type of distortion neighborhood, and I was completely wrong. It's really more of a hot rodded Marshall in a box, and sounds, not only does it sound killer, but you can find these pedals most places for under $50. This was definitely the best bang for your buck on this entire list. So, there you have it. There is my 14 favorite gear demos of the year 2020 on this channel anyway. Of course, there were plenty of other gear demos from other channels out there that I also very much enjoyed, but these are just the pieces of gear that I myself demoed to give you a quick summary of the highlights of Robert's Guitar Dungeon from 2020 all in one video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next video.